good to have you with us in this edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, last night we brought to you the facts of the case and investigations related to Sushant Singh. Now, one of the investigations, the only one in fact where arrests have been made, is the investigation by the NCB, and today in that case the NCB has gone ahead and arrested Rhea Chakrabarti. She's finally been arrested after 3 days of questioning. After almost over 40 days of noise, of questions being asked, of various agencies registering cases, summoning people, questioning Rhea Chakrabarti, she's not yet been arrested for abetment of suicide, not for murder, not for even for money laundering. But Rhea Chakrabarti today has been arrested under the Narcotics Act. Tonight, one more time, we're going to tell you why she's been arrested, what are the charges that she faces, and what this really means for the overall investigation. What does it mean for the big allegations that have been made by Sushant's family that Rhea was the cause of Sushant's death? Will it have any impact on the ED or the CBI investigation? Does a drug link in any way impact the original, genuine case and the big charge of abetment of suicide? Or is this a completely different case altogether related to drug procurement, consumption by people within the Bollywood industry? The specific charges, the way forward from here on, the legal aspects, that's what Mirror Now is going to focus on. Only the facts that are available, and we will simplify and decode that for you. In fact, let me first up straight away go across to Sandhya Gora, who's been tracking this story for us. Sandhya, let's begin with the charges that have been slapped against Rhea Chakrabarti by the NCB. What is it that they are accusing her of?
So, the sections under which Rhea Chakrabarti is booked, she's booked under NDPS Act Tanvi. Sections are 8C and 20B. These two sections are about producing, manufacturing, possessing, selling, purchasing, using, consuming drugs. These are the two sections. After that, the most stringent action against her is Section 27A. This is for the accused for the people who are accused of financing illicit traffic and harboring offenders, those who are involved in financing directly or indirectly any of the drug-related activities. Apart from that, there is Section 28, which is punishment for attempt to commit offences, drug-related offences, and Section 20 talking about these sections, Section 29, that is punishment for abetment and criminal conspiracy. So, Tanvi, what does it mean that according to NCB, Rhea Chakrabarti is accused of consuming, using, possessing, manufacturing, producing drugs, and not just that, she is also accused of harboring those who are indulged into drug-related activities, specifically financing drug-related activities. Tanvi.
Okay, so these are the charges that have been, put against her. She's now been arrested, Sandhya. But so far, what is it that the NCB has? They had made several arrests before they actually even called Rhea Chakrabarti for questioning. What did they find? What, apart from the WhatsApp chats, has the NCB found so far?
So, Tanvi, Rhea Chakrabarti is the 10th arrest in the case, and before that her brother was also arrested. So today Mirror Now asked Deputy Director General of NCB, Mr. A.K. Jain, about the raids which were conducted at Rhea's house and Shauvik's house. Both of them, they look brother and sister, they live in the same house. We asked him whether or not NCB seized or recovered any drugs from the house or any money which could be attributed as the sale proceed of the drug. To that, NCB Deputy Director General said no, that no cash, no currency of any country or contraband or drug was seized from the Chakrabarti's house. That's one thing. Apart from that, total 10 people have been arrested, and if I talk about the seizures which are made by NCB in several raids, 7 actually to be very specific, the drug possession was NCB got drugs from Abbas Ahmed, accused number 1, Karan Arora. Apart from that, Anuj Keswani was the one with from him some drugs was seized, and Zayed, accused number 3 in the case, from him some money was seized, which was attributed as a sale proceed of the drug by NCB here. Tanvi.
Okay, stay on with me. Let me bring in Mayuresh as well. Mayuresh and Santhi have been constantly tracking the multi-agency probe that's been going on in this case. Mayuresh, NCB actually got the lead about the WhatsApp chats from the Enforcement Directorate. What about the other 2 investigations? Any development on that front? What's going on?
As of now, ED has not called or summoned anyone since last 1 week because continuously we are seeing that the CBI was summoning. If we talk about the CBI, the last major update which happened at CBI end, it was a recreation which was done for the 3rd time with the team, FSL team, also the CBI team, and this time Meetu, who is basically Sushant's sister, she was also there along with the his staff, who is basically arrested. That was, so this was the only update from the CBI. But it's been more than 2 weeks that ED and CBI are investigating this case, or we can say that CBI is probing the murder angle, ED is probing the money laundering angle. But so far they have not come on record and told us that what exactly they have found, or not even they have briefed anyone. Who basically made the arrest? That was NCB, and that is also not in connection of a murder case. That is in connection of what Santhia explained us about about the narcotics drug, or about the drugs case. But so far, as you ask me, CBI and ED, they have not come up with any kind of concrete thing the way NCB has done it.
Okay, so nothing concrete as far as the CBI and Enforcement Directorate is concerned. The only thing the Enforcement Directorate actually found was these WhatsApp chats when they went through the phone and retrieved some of the data that are actually being deleted, including these chats, and that's now become the focus of the investigation now. Mayuresh and Santhia continue to be with us because as we speak, the hearing is on for Rhea Chakrabarti. We've already been told by the NCP they are not going to seek her custody. So while they will oppose her bail, they don't want Rhea Chakrabarti's custody. They say they already have all the answers. They've asked whatever they wanted to. They have the information. She's told them what they needed to hear from her. But we will keep a close track of that hearing, what the NCB says and what comes out from there. So we will keep going back to Santhia and Mayuresh. Let's say good evening to the panelists who are joining us right now to help us understand where this entire case stands right now. Good evening to Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate with the Supreme Court. Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS officer, joins us this evening. Mr. Kailash Srivastav, Senior Advocate with the Supreme Court, was with us last night as well on this conversation. First up, let me quickly go across to Vinay Tiwari, our Managing Editor for Mirror Now, joining us right now. Vinay, so the only agency that seems to be questioning, progressing, and showing some action is the NCB. Interestingly, the ED and the CBI haven't even questioned anybody in the last couple of days.
Two big inferences, Tanvi, that come out of it, and in the pantheon of curious things that are happening in this case, there are 3 more very curious inferences that I draw from it. Of course, I don't want to, show some intellectual arrogance to say I know it for a fact, but I can certainly say that these are very curious things that I observe, and we have very, learned counsels on our panel, and I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong. The inference number 1 is that very curiously today, the NCB, after effecting the arrest of Rhea Chakrabarti, came out and did a briefing. And in that briefing, they mentioned 2 very specific things. They were asked a question on whether why is it that you did not ask for the accused's police custody? And they said, well, we have already finished our investigations. We have already finished questioning her. And we've also finished questioning all the other suspects in this case who we have arrested. So we don't need her for custodial interrogation anymore. And hence, we do not want her police custody. She will go into judicial custody. I don't know why the officer had to say so. I'm presuming that this would have, meant a things or 2 for the defense counsels later on. Number 2, which is an inference, it is may not be a fact, but it's an inference, which is this, that now that Rhea Chakrabarti has been arrested and has been sent to judicial, or will possibly be sent to judicial custody because the hearing has just begun, it means that both the ED and the CBI cannot question her anymore unless they seek permission from the court. Remember, till now, Riya was being repeatedly summoned by all the three investigative agencies for their own investigations. But now that it is in the custody of the court, as the judicial custody is, they will not be able to question it. So the inference that I draw from it is that both the CBI and ED now no longer deem it necessary that they need to question her anymore, and whatever they had to get from her in this case, they already have got. Now that again points a thing or two to which direction the ED and the CBI probe is ultimately going. Because remember, in all this hullabaloo over the NCB case, we are forgetting that the original case was the one of the CBI, where they registered a case under 306, which is abetment to suicide, criminal breach of trust, wrongful confinement, and cheating. And of course, the ED then went on to investigate cases of possible money laundering or shell companies being formed to divert money from one account to the other. So those two cases, frankly, we haven't heard much about, even as the NCB goes around arresting people, and now finally Riya Chakravarti as well. Tanvi.
In fact, let me take that one of the points that you raised, Vinay, across to our experts, and let me ask this question to Mr. Yashovardhan Azad. Mr. Azad, few are wondering tonight that if they didn't want her custody, why did they even arrest Riya Chakravarti? Can you help us understand this procedure?
You see, Tanvi, first of all, this NCB investigation is completely on a different trajectory. And, you know, if the aim of the NCB, as they say, is to do a cleanup of the Bollywood, then this certainly wasn't the right time, because with so much of hullabaloo being made about drugs and you know, being the usage in Bollywood, this is certainly not the time, because everyone has already been alerted. Secondly, what have you acquired in this so far? You have got about 59 grams of substance, and you've got a couple of drug peddlers, and you're using sections on Riya, you know, which are actually, she can be only charged for casual consumption, that also confession, and procurement for Sushant. But the most important thing in an NDPS case, Tanvi, is possession of drug. And since there is no possession of drug which has been seized from her, the transaction itself, which is reflected in WhatsApp chat and you know, somebody stating something, somebody corroborating something, and I don't know how much of it will really stand in court, the transaction not being complete at all, there is no recovery to be made from her. So that is why NCB had no leg to stand on, and they cannot have any ask for any remand from her, because there's nothing to be recovered. And that is why this investigation somehow detracts, as the premise has very well been laid out by Mr. Vinay Tiwari. This investigation itself seems to be detracting from the main focus, about which we do not know. Mind you, today, the CBI has talked about this, has given a statement about the TN custodial deaths. I've read the banners only, and said that the charges were wrongly framed. So similarly, you expect something now after so many months, that something should be stated also on the main investigation as to what that is leading to. And my last point is that the ED case has fallen flat. Let's accept it. And even the abetment to suicide is in tatters now, because as far as the wrongful confinement goes, as far as the stealing goes, as far as the criminal breach of trust goes, and also the transfer of money and property, it has no leg to stand. So the only thing which is left now are the is the AIMS team going there and giving new information about the ligature marks. And secondly, the viscera test again, which is going to be done, which will show whether the blood is contaminated with some drug element or not.
Yes, and that visceral test that AIMS is doing, and the AIMS forensic team and the head keeps saying there is something amiss, but we haven't heard what is amiss so far. All we know, of course, is the initial autopsy that had said that there is no foul play, but since the body is being cremated, there's only so much that can be found right now. But very crucial points that you've raised, Mr. Azad, and if I can just very quickly, before I go to our other experts, go back to our reporter, Santya. Santya is tracking that case, and Santya has accessed the details of the remand copy of the NCB, and this actually gives us an insight about what is it that they really have right now. and why is it that they're not seeking her custody, or in fact, why is it that they have arrested her? Santhya, do you want to take us through those details? What does the remand copy say?
See, Tanvi, actually, I'm still going through the remand copy, but a couple of things that I would like to mention that NCB's remand copy mentions that how Shouvik Chakravarti disclosed that Basit Parihar used to provide drugs to Dipesh Sawant through Kaizan Ibrahim, and Shouvik himself, Shouvik confessed that he used to facilitate that drug delivery via Basit, Zayed and Kaizan. Apart from that, NCB remand copy claims that Ria has acknowledged their statements and her role also in the entire case. And during statements, present respondent, which is Ria Chakravarti, revealed about her own involvement in procurement of drugs and financial transaction, and also her instructions to Samuel Miranda, Dipesh Sawant and Shouvik Chakravarti in this regard, because that's the allegation she is facing, that how she used to procure drugs for Sushant Singh Rajput, and she along with her brother Shouvik Chakravarti used to do so. And Samuel Miranda and Dipesh Sawant, on the instructions of Shouvik and Ria, used to receive those drug deliveries. Tanvi.
Okay, so this is what it is. This is the operative part, Santhya. What you just read right now, as you go through more details on the remand copy, let me reiterate this point. During the statement, present respondent Ria Chakravarti revealed about her involvement in procurement of drug and financial transaction, and also her instructions to Samuel Miranda, Dipesh Sawant and Shouvik Chakravarti in this regard. Therefore, it is clear from the statement that the respondent is an active member of a drug syndicate connected with drug supplies, and it is also clear that the present respondent used to procure drugs for Sushant Singh Rajput for consumption purpose. Now, this is what the remand copy says. We will, of course, go back to Santhya as she finds more details, but they are seeking a judicial custody of 14 days, saying investigation is in a preliminary stage right now, as a revelation made by the respondent has to be verified, and known and unknown associates of the above named respondent have to be traced and apprehended. It is humbly prayed that judicial custody be given for 14 days. Mr. Sanjay Hegde, if I could come to you. On the charges that have been used, some of them we're told are very stringent charges that have been slapped against her, about manufacture, financial transaction, and even harboring drug offenders.
Yeah, they've used 27A and everything. They've basically thrown the book at her. There's no two ways about it. These are sections which were made to handle the likes of the big drug sharks. You caught hold of the suppliers and the suppliers that way. It's I don't know of very many cases where on 59 grams of cannabis being seized from other accused, somebody suddenly becomes the godmother of cannabis in Bandra. That's what the basic case which is being made out right now seems to be like. They've used their standard formulas in the remand application. There are going to be known and unknown associates whom we still have to find out. So please, Mr. or Madam Court, why don't you keep her with you for 14 more days, and then we, at a later stage, if we need, we will come back for a police remand. That seems to be the inarticulate major premise of that response. If you do not really have a serious case, if on the you say that you do not want her further, there is no reason why Ria cannot be released on bail and directed to cooperate with whatever the investigation requires from her at a later stage. After all this drama, the entire case is based on WhatsApp chat. I have very, very serious doubts as to the evidentiary value of a WhatsApp chat. It has yet to be tested in any major case, and there are no Supreme Court judgments on the point. Because just to take a look at our own WhatsApp exchanges, we are members of so many WhatsApp groups. Somebody puts up something, we may notice it, we may not notice it. 2 days later, we say something else. What are the inferences? basically, and this is a pattern not only in the Ria case, but I've also seen it in the Delhi riots case, WhatsApp is making the investigating officers lazy. They simply seem to think that you grab people's phones, you you go through their WhatsApp chats where they say things in some manner or the other. Then you don't really look for proof. You beat people up into submissions where they make statements either under 164 of the CRPC or any other statement which can be used by them used against them in court, and you try to then fit in a theory of the crime to whatever to WhatsApp chats. There's no serious investigation done on the ground. And if in the old days you had told me that the Narcotics Control Bureau would go serious in a matter of 59 grams of cannabis, it would be, bro, what you smoking? Then
Okay, I understand. In fact, I was actually going through some of the details of what is it that they've even seized during their raids. They got about 46 gram ganja from Abbas Ahmed, about 13 grams of ganja from Karan Arora. Kaizan had about half a gram of hashish on him. Anuj Keshwani, 590 grams of hashish and 0.64 gram of LSD was recovered from him. And of course, then they seized the laptop of Ria's brother and looked into, what was there overall. These are the raids that were conducted. No drugs were found on Ria Chakrabarti. That's going to be an important point, as our experts say, during this entire case proceedings. Mr. Kailash Vastev, but like Sanjay Hegde said, if you look at the charges, it sounds as if a massive drug racket has been busted, and Ria Chakrabarti seems to be running this big drug syndicate where she was ordering and procuring drugs and carrying out the financial transactions for these drugs, perhaps for the entire Bollywood. Now, how do you prove such a case?
Before I answer your question, I'm reminded of an adage in Scotland. See, when somebody wanted to take vengeance and revenge on somebody, the good Lord used to say, the Lord, where I mean that the Lords in Scotland, Lord XYZ, used to say, give the dog a bad name and hang him. We are doing precisely that. You have no case made out for 306. You have no case made out for money laundering. You have no case made out for any other offense. So where do you get the person? Drugs. Now, under the Drugs Act, under Section 2, is a notification of the quantity of drugs which constitute commercial quantities and small quantities. Under Item 23 of the schedule expected under Section 222, small quantity of cannabis or what you call bhang is 100 grams. So you must find the person in possession of that particular drug, whatever quantity it means, before you effect an arrest. Here, you have found nothing. There is no money, there is no drugs, excepting a WhatsApp chat, which is about 2 years old. Sanjay is right in saying that if on the basis of a WhatsApp chat is concerned, I think we will all be arrested for sedition. We forward messages, we receive messages, some in good jest, some in bad humor, against any and everybody in the system. Nobody is spared. Even we are not spared for our comments. So if that is going to the basis for the purposes of holding a person in custody, it is a traversity of the Narcotics Act. In addition, we have thrown the CRPC, the Criminal Procedure Code, the Evidence Act, the Narcotics Act, all out of the plane. I wish some of these officers would run after those acts, read them, understand the law, and then initiate proceedings. We are playing havoc into the system. 59 grams is a small quantity as defined under the Act. A person who consumes these things under Section 27 is entitled to the benefit of 64A, with an immunity from prosecution if they want to go for treatment. Has anyone mentioned this fact? I mean, as a lawyer, I find this to be so awful, so awful. Mr. Azad just mentioned about the cases in Tamil Nadu. where a father and son were lynched by the police. I use the word lynched. They were arrested on false charges, as now found. Who's going to give them back their life? Who's going to give them their reputation? And in the case of Riya Chakravarti, a brother has been picked up. Tomorrow, I won't be surprised if the parents are picked up. Because the purpose is give the dog a bad name, hang him. The question you asked me about the trial and continuations thereof, I hope our judges stand up to their oath of office and carry out the case and decide the case in accordance with law. I can assure you this won't stand. This is terrible. It is a blotch on our investigating agencies. It is a blotch on the way the system is working. And to make it worse, it is going to tell on any and everybody. You will use these agencies for revenge. You will not use them for investigation or any purpose for which the acts are meant for. My views are strong, and I find all this to be appalling. Don't fall in love is the answer. You'll pay for it.
Okay, I completely get the point that all of you are making as far as this case is concerned. We're still tracking, that hearing and what comes out of it and bringing out the details. I just want to highlight one more part from the NCB's remand copy. And of course, this is what the NCB has to say. But the remand copy says that two of the people, including Samuel Miranda and Dipesh, have allegedly told the NCP and admitted that not only Riya Chakrabarti but Sushant also used to ask them to get the drugs and used to handle the financial dealings as well. So it's not to say that Riya Chakrabarti is the only one procuring these drugs and then feeding them to Sushant Singh Rajput. According to these, the remand copy of the NCB, Samuel Miranda and Dipesh have told the NCB this. Vinay, this will also be interesting because the remand copy itself says that Sushant Singh Rajput himself was involved in procuring and paying for these drugs.
Yes, I mean, I just thought it's important for us to alert the viewers that, look, we are referring to the remand copy repeatedly because this is the only document that is legitimately and rightly available currently. We don't have any other legal document in our possession, and hence we are referring to the remand copy. But having said that, I think we should also introduce a word of caution. The remand copy is the beginning process of the investigation and not the conclusion. The real meat lies in the charge sheet that is filed by the police or the investigative agencies, which really determines whether the charges will be framed according to what they believe was the offense or not. So there is still a big gap between the cup and the lip, so to say. And I can tell you, Tanvi, that we don't, I mean, I don't know how many viewers know that the Narcotics Control Bureau actually has a handbook for investigators. They have a handbook for what they call the DLEOs. The Drug Law Enforcement Officers is what they're called in the NCB. It's a 135-page handbook where some good, well-intentioned officer wrote in great detail on how cases should be actually probed right from the time of the first information till the time of writing a charge sheet. And I can tell you that if we were to wonder what will happen in this case in a court of law, all we need to do is to find out what happened in the last high-profile arrest of a Bollywood personality that the NCB did, which was the case of Fardeen Khan, who was booked in 2001 for actually buying, and he actually made the mistake of actually going out on the streets himself and buying it. In that case, he, of course, as Mr. Kailash Vasudev mentioned, was granted immunity under Section 64 and 64A, which he was entitled to because the quantity seized were very, very small. Also, the two peddlers who actually were booked for the commercial transaction were both acquitted simply because the Narcotics Control Bureau failed to present the chemical analyst in a court of law as a witness who would have certified whether the seized quantity was actually talcum powder or drug or something else. My point to you is this. If cases fall in courts not because of perceptional conviction, they fall because of legal convictions, and that can go wrong on 100 counts. Even at the time of the arrest, if the police have not filled in the arrest memo properly, if they've not done their Jama Talashi form properly, if they've not filled up the form F properly, if they haven't given us proper search and seizure notice properly, cases can fall even on that. And we've seen how this is way more important than what we now are tending to do nowadays, which is perceptional conviction. We are convicting people on perception and not exactly on the basis of hard evidence in law, which is the only way to ensure justice in a case. And I repeat that again, you can ensure justice in a case only when you prosecute a person on the basis of law and do it legitimately in a court of law till the stage of conviction and not before that.
Absolutely right, Vinay. In fact, exactly why I keep going back to the remand copy, because this is what the Narcotics Control Bureau is saying as of now. They have done an investigation, a very fast-paced investigation in the last couple of weeks, and have arrested this woman. The perception that you were talking about, the perception that's been built, and the picture that's been painted across many parts is that Rhea Chakrabarti was actually the one who was feeding these drugs, whatever the drugs be, feeding these drugs and pushing down these drugs, to Sushant, and that's what led to his, unstable condition, and she poisoned him. Now, the fact of the matter is the NCB in its own remand copy as of now says that the people they have spoken to, the people they have questioned, have admitted that Sushant and Rhea together were involved in whatever drugs they wanted to buy and consume, and they paid for it. So that's as far as their own finding right now is concerned, which doesn't for now match with the perception, like you said, that has been built and sold about Rhea Chakrabarti. Now, let's come to the second part. And the second part that I wanted to ask my panelists was, is there going to be any connection between this case and the main case, which is what the CBI is investigating, because people still believe, Sanjay Hegde, many believe that, oh, see, this is where it starts. She used to procure the drugs, she used to run this drug syndicate, she gave these drugs to Sushant, and that is how Sushant died, or that led to his death. Are the two cases, can the two cases be connected? Will the CBI case have any impact because of the development today?
I don't think so, simply because there is no causal effect of proximity. Even on the facts that now emerge, she left the house on the 8th of June. After that, the death occurs on the 13th of June, 5 days later. These drug transactions which are spoken of a prior point of time, maybe a few months or even a year or so. The drug transactions, as you've rightly pointed out, seem to be consensual. Sometimes she bought the stuff, sometimes he bought the stuff. Both paid for it, and they shared it among themselves. This drug case is as consequential to the unnatural death case as if a case which alleged that 6 months ago Rhea bought ice cream for Sushant. They both consumed it together. Who paid for it? And supposing ice cream was a banned substance, would it then impact this case? No. There is no proximate link. There is no causal link.
Mr. Azad, would you want to come in on this as well? Sanjay Hegde says there is no link. What they're saying today, even if you are able to prove that yes, she did consume, she did order, she did buy these drugs which are illegal and banned drugs, doesn't really benefit or impact or help the CBI case in any matter.
Absolutely. A very important thing which has been brought about by two panelists, and mind you, they are senior advocates of the Supreme Court, and they have talked about the relative, usage of the WhatsApp in chats and investigations. This entire case has been built up on the statements of the drug peddlers and the WhatsApp chats. And on the basis of that, here you're talking about conspiracy, you're talking about being part of a drug syndicate. Now, this is something which will never stand in the court. And I do hope that the NCB has a proper set of prosecutors who vet the charge sheet before it is sent to the court for framing of the charges. And this is a very, very critical part, as Mr. Vinay Tiwari was saying, because, I hope that the charges which are laid or put up in the charge sheet make sense. And I hope the justice delivered will be proper and absolutely fair. In this case, whatever the investigation has been done, it's a continuing investigation. What is strange is that here we are talking about Rhea Chakrabarti, but the NCB has already given a statement that this is to cast a wider net in the Bollywood. So actually she should be released on bail forthwith, because now, on the basis of more WhatsApp chats, there are more people from the Bollywood who are going to be arrested. Does it have any material connection with the case per se we are talking about? एक कहावत है हमारे बिहार में, कहते हैं कि अशरफी की लूट और कोयले पे छापा. You know, Asharfi is getting stolen, and the raids are done on the coal mafia. So the actual investigation, which is crying for a dignified closure, is whether it was murder or whether it was suicide. So two things: the CBI has gone through, reoccurrence of the scene, dummy trials, etc., etc. And today they should have come up with something, whether from the physical evidence, etc., of that room and the evidence which has been created, what has it led to? And secondly, now again the viscera is going to be tested, which will take another 10 days, whether there is a contamination, and the drug levels shown are alarmingly high to come to some conclusion. And secondly, as the advocates have already said, and I totally agree with them, the ED case has fallen flat. So what has happened now ultimately is that it's a very cloudy conclusion that we are being led to, that even in the abetment case, where the cases of, say, illegal confinement. I mean, illegal confinement by whom? By a live-in who's like a wife, as per the Supreme Court decision itself. And money stealing or criminal breach of trust. These are very serious charges. But nothing after so many days of investigation and over 60 hours of questioning has revealed anything. So I certainly am of the opinion that these two, the NCB investigations, which are continuing onwards to find out who's taking drugs in Bollywood Mafia, has anything to do with the Sushant's case, which we need a dignified closure as soon as possible, and I hope CBI.
Yes, I'm still also reading through the details that have emerged even from the remand copy, but that's just one part. Let's just say that the drug case is separate. The main case, of course, is what the CBI is investigating about abetment of suicide, and the ED that swooped in very quickly at that point of time once the complaint was filed in Bihar to look at any kind of dirty money angle, and they haven't found anything. In fact, I want to very quickly highlight this to our viewers. What is the status of the investigation for these two agencies? The CBI has recreated the crime scene 3 times. They have not found any foul play so far. They have recorded statements of those who were in the house. They have not found any merit in the 2 ambulance theory. If you're one of those who heard this 2 ambulance theory somewhere and wondered, oh, 2 ambulance क्यों बुलाई उन्होंने, कुछ तो गड़बड़ होगा, they haven't found any merit to that theory about foul play regarding the ambulances. There was a legitimate reason why a second ambulance had to be called. They found no merit in the 2 dead bodies theory, which has also been floating around. Now, often what happens is what we've seen, Vinay, before I go across to Mr. Kailash Vasudev, Vinay, that we, a mass reportage of these theories takes place, from nepotism to rape charges to murder to 2 ambulances to 2 dead bodies, to a certain party with big names floating around, and even what was found on his body, how his body was lying, the autopsy report, what it has. But once the details begin to come out, often we fail to go back and tell our viewers about it. We did tell our viewers that the post-mortem report didn't show any foul play, except the fact that the time of death was missing, and that is being investigated right now. But we need to tell our viewers that many of the other theories that were floated in the first 40 days, Vinay, have not found any merit. Even for Enforcement Directorate, they have gone through the bank account details, and so far they also haven't found any wrongdoing in terms of money and big amount of money being moved around, as was being alleged by the family.
Absolutely. I mean, look, just when you think in your professional life you've seen it all, comes a case where certain completely new befuddling things happen. And I'll just list out 4 or 5 things. I mean, here is a case suddenly that landed up where there is one particular DGP of a state that Mr. Azad knows very well, who literally gives running commentary on that particular case every morning and sometimes even in prime time in the evening. You have counsels on both sides who regularly hold briefings in the middle of an investigation. You have 3 investigative agencies who are camping here in Bombay for the last month and a half now, chasing still we don't know what. And you have a situation where a large section of people out there are sitting at home during lockdown on their laptops, taking a still picture and doing self-autopsies of their own. You've had people who are analyzing and debating complex procedures which happen in a hospital by a panel of 5 specialized doctors, but they are being done over a laptop still shot as well. It's a case where there has been a series of bizarre things have happened. I think the unfortunate part is that those bizarre things have got so much of fan and fire. And I'm afraid sometimes I feel a little sorry for the investigative agencies because they've been pitchforked into doing something which is a rather tough job. And again I'm saying, so I'm probably the least experienced in terms of law in front of the panel that we have right now, but I will still go ahead and say that in a case where actually there are 3 probe agencies that investigate pretty much the same accused and the same individual, it becomes even more imperative for those 3 individual agencies to do their case in a very foolproof manner, because inconsistencies between 3 agencies often becomes a problem in a court of law. There will be inconsistencies if you don't monitor the case properly. There will be different theories, different arguments, different facts being mentioned in different charge sheets, and it will all become a huge jumbled mess. Which is why it is more than necessary for the reputation of India's 3 best primary agencies to make sure that this particular case becomes a test case where they actually find out what exactly happened, who did it, and have the courage to say that we probed it and we found X and we did not find Y. Because that's the only way the faith in the investigations will remains intact and gets restored. You need to have the courage to say, I don't know, as much as you need to have the courage to say, I know. Tanvi.
Let me bring in Mr. Kailash Vasudev on that. Mr. Kailash Vasudev, when there are multiple agencies probing, the same case, different angles, like Vinay is pointing out, does it make it even more difficult because there could be multiple versions, leaks that happen, and does that then impact the prosecution of the case?
You see, multiple agencies are engaged under multiple acts for carrying out investigations under those acts. Now, the investigations, for example, ED will come in, serious frauds organization comes in, the local police comes in, the drugs bureau comes in. So all sorts of agencies come into play when there are cases like this. Mr. Tiwari just mentioned about the acquittal of a 2001 case and the granting of immunity under Section 64A, Film World. In the past few months or the past few years, we've heard of so many. I was just making a small note for myself from memory. There have been so many rave party arrests. The quantities of drugs available at these rave parties is several times 59. The nature of the drugs which are distributed amongst these children who are picked up in huge batches, taken into custody, released the next day on the ground that they made a mistake. Now, after seeing the way the whole thing is gone, not finding a case for suicide or abetment of suicide, not finding a case for money laundering, not finding a case of cheating, and bringing this within the cover of the NDPS. It raises a question. Is there some compelling force which is driving this whole thing against this whole family of the Chakravartis? Is this a lot more than meets the eye? In one sense, I feel it is the press which has driven this to into a certain direction by constantly churning out stories and theories. The police, the economic offences wings, the narcotics section, the ED are 4 different limbs. 3 have given up, so there's nothing. The narcotic comes in 59 grams, as I told you a few minutes ago, under the small quantities. If you want, I can mention it to you. Heroin, these 2 drugs under entry 27, cannabis resin, that is charas and hashish, extracts and tinctures of cannabis, 100 grams is a small quantity, commercial quantity is 1 kilo. There is no seizure here. There is no finding that this drug was found. But in the meantime, you're arresting this young lady. She's an actress. You will keep her in custody. It will be flashed on television channels. The police will release, or the NDPS will, of course, release its own stories. But then what happens when the case lingers on? Her career is finished. She is not going to get a chance to come back to life. Because this case began on the allegation that Bollywood is a closed society. Go a step further. In the very many cases filed by the NDPS or under the NDPS, how many eventual convictions have taken place? You have hundreds of cases every day. You only hear of a few where the quantities are over 5 kilos or 10 kilos of heroin valued at millions of dollars in the international market. Small cases have not led to convictions.
Right.
But the damage done to the reputations have led to society damning a person, ruining careers. I asked the NDPS today, we are on the live show. Let them give information to your
Mr.
channel.
Kailash Vasudev, if you...
Just one second, ma'am, just 1 second.
Yes.
Let them give open information of the very many rave parties where people have been arrested, where quantities of drugs exceed the 100-gram limit, what has been the eventual conviction, and what have they done. Today, you are catching hold of a person because it's a high-profile case. People are rejoicing in certain states that, look, this girl has been arrested, when the other things have failed. Let the people at the Narcotics Control Bureau come forward, make a statement, how many cases of rave parties or the like they have led to a conviction. It will give you an answer.
Mr. Kailash Vasudev, if I may just ask you this question, basis what we've seen in the remand copy and the fact what the NCB is now saying that they will further investigate what has been told to them, she can be in judicial custody, they don't need her. ED and the CBI's investigation has slowed down, in the last few days, relatively speaking. Does it look to you like a situation where ED and CBI didn't have enough to arrest her, but there was just so much of noise, so much of conversation, so much of public interest in this entire story that it had to come down to NCB to pick up on this one thing and to arrest her, and then even say that we don't even need to keep her in custody?
I would agree with you that the other agencies have given up. The NCB has come and arrested the lady. You know what will happen tomorrow? This case will die. There will be no news coverage on it because an arrest has been made. Some purpose has been achieved by somebody for an ulterior motive. Now, moment that happens, the issues which are of relevance to the nation today, where we have questions, where we have suggestions, where we want, they are all out of the media networks. Why? We are dedicating thousands of hours where we could use it. Look at the condition of children post-COVID. Look at the condition of old people in their houses. Look at the condition of the workers on the streets. Look at the economic downturn. Is there no time to cover those issues? Or only just this particular love affair gone bad? Have we come down to those levels in the media? Is there no social responsibility towards what we can do and improve upon? Can't we debate sensibly? So therefore, if three agencies have given up, this seems to be the last straw on the camel's back, which has taken this girl into custody. I have another question. The viscera has been sent for testing again to the AIIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Supposing it turns out that the viscera does not have any content of any drug of any nature, where does it stand? What is the stand of the national of the NCB? What is it going to say? Because if the drug consumption has been a couple of weeks before, it is definitely not going to show in the body systems. But it is going to tell on this whole Chakravarti family for what they are going through for a case which is not made out. Couldn't the Narcotics Control Bureau wait for the viscera tests? What was the hurry? If other three agencies have given up, is there some pressure? Is there something driving them to this? I don't know. I'm asking as a citizen. You don't do other investigations. Look at the
Yes,
quantities of
no,
drugs.
you have very legitimate questions.
Look at the quantities of drugs.
You have
which
very
been
legitimate
destroyed.
questions, Mr. Kailash Vasudev. I won't sit here and defend anybody else or anybody else, even in my own industry. But you know that we here at Mirror Now have largely, primarily done exhaustive conversations on COVID, on the economy, on the jobs losses, and we continue to do that. And we've done stories and coverage that has led to local administration, governments taking note of it, fixing those COVID problems. We are tonight as well going to be talking about one very important issue, which is what is happening at our line of actual control along with China, the face-off that's going on there, issues that you rightly mentioned, issues that must be spoken about, and they are on this channel. But tonight and last night, we felt the need to bring about these facts to remind people that in such cases, facts need to matter. People have been so convinced of so many theories that have done the rounds in the last 80 days that sometimes, Vinay, even now, I can see people responding and disbelieving and saying, well, justice won't be done if we are never told the truth about that. Maybe there wasn't anything to begin with. We don't know. It's too soon. CBI and ED are still investigating. But it's the perception that has been built so far, which is why when it becomes important for us to remind people of the facts that we know.
Look, I mean, crime is something, Tanvi, that excites societies across the world. I mean, there is a reason why the genre of crime is probably the best-selling genre in all of Europe and the US, in Hollywood, on OTT platforms. Crime is very intrinsic to excitement for the human brain. That's how it works. In India, the first sign of how crime busting, sleuthing works was when Karamchand came to our screens in the late 80s, And unfortunately, in the year 2020, when everybody has access to a smartphone and digital technology, everybody's become a Karamchand in their own drawing rooms. And I can tell you, and I'm saying so having seen many, many crime spots and murders and dead bodies in my life, it is very difficult to say something with conclusion just by either second-hand information or by hearsay. It is not that easy to investigate a crime. Mr. Azad, who's a seasoned officer, will bear me on that. It is a very painstaking job. It requires great amount of technical knowledge, and it also requires great amount of legal knowledge. It's not something that you just do on the basis of perceptions. Because if crimes were to be solved on the basis of perceptions, we would be living in absolutely a banana republic. And I don't think that's what we are. We are a fairly mature democracy where you need to follow procedures, and that is why law is coded. If you don't codify law, procedures will never get followed. There is a reason why the Constitution has provided for the CRPC or provided for the Evidence Act, so that every agency follows a defined process which eliminates any question of bias or perceptional issues derailing it. And unfortunately, the new age of public perception that seems to put pressure on the agencies tends to guide a few actions of the investigative agencies, which is wrong, and it should be resisted with all its might, Tanvi.
Okay, very quickly, let me also, get in a closing comment from Mr. Azad before we wrap this up and go back to Sandhya. She's got more details, specific pointers of what the remand copy says. But Mr. Azad, the last word to you tonight.
I just want to add that here is a case in which all accepted protocols were bypassed. Here is a case where the two state police could have easily resolved the matter by a little bit of accommodation. But the police leadership ceded space to the political executive, and then the war of words started. And that is where this investigation went wrong. And the parallel streams of investigation started taking place with an agenda. And that is why today that we are nowhere near the truth, but this parallel investigation is taking us to a completely different trajectory. I do hope that very soon the main focus is back on the CBI and the ED, and they give us their conclusion and finality, because the people ought to know, and it is also as a mark of respect to that brilliant actor who lost his time, who died in his prime. And also we owe it to the family who have, suffered untold grief in this matter.
Thank you so much for that. In fact, I am just going to pick up on what you said and add to it and say we will continue to follow the case that CBI and ED are investigating and bring you the facts as they are officially stated. We've told you theories that have been ruled out by the CBI and by the Enforcement Directorate, the leads that they've looked into, not found anything. The day they do find something concrete on the angles that they're looking at of foul play, conspiracy, abetment of suicide, money laundering, siphoning of funds, we will tell you. So far, there has been nothing. Which is why the only agency that has moved on to arrest Rhea Chakravarti has been the Narcotics Control Bureau. A big thank you to all of our panelists for joining us. Viewers, it's very, very important for you to remember this. Remember the facts. Some of what you may have heard over and over and over again in your living rooms, in your conversations, on your WhatsApp groups, on your social media, maybe or even on your mainstream media, some of it may simply be a theory, a question, a perception, not a fact that an agency can confirm right now. And until that happens, do not form your opinions and pass a judgment. Nobody should be doing that. Rhea Chakravarti has been arrested right now on charges of drug consumption, harboring drug offenders, paying for those drugs, essentially being a part of some kind of a drug syndicate. But we'll see where that case really goes and where the case with ED and CBI also goes. Thank you so much for joining us right now. Short break. On the other side, the details of the remand copy. What has the NCB found so far? We will tell you in more details. Stay with me.